Hi, everyone. My name is Lucy Gitau, and others say Lukari. I am from Kenya and an intern here from Calvin Theological Seminary. I'm preaching today, and that's the reason why I'm studying here. And I have to admit that I feel tensed, but the Lord is with me. 1 week ago, we visited Turkey and Greece, and I'm happy to see one of my friends, Lisa Ann de Jong. Hi. She came here to support me. Thank you for coming. Suppose Jesus visits you when you are critically sick, has been bedridden for a long time, and you are living in isolation. What would you think, or what would be your request to him? Would you be interested in getting a good job? Answer yourself. Would you be interested in getting a good house or home? Would it be a good car that you would need? Would you be interested in getting married? Or would you still be interested in visiting one of those places you have been saving for a long time to be able to go for vacation? Would it be getting new connections for those who are business people? Or would it be getting promoted at your workplace? Today, I want to welcome all of us to a healing service. The reading from Mark introduces us to Jesus who heals through words and acts. During our last sermon, that was on Sunday, we saw Jesus casting down demons in the church. He spoke with authority and taught in a way that the teachers of the law could not imagine. The spirits were aware of who Jesus was. They knew he had power to destroy them. They called him the Holy One of God. Who do you call Jesus? Today, Jesus is taken out for a mission outside the church. And we are going to our homesteads. And we are going to see Jesus working in a domestic setting. So, Jesus is visiting our homes today. A home is the smallest unit of a church. When there is peace at home, it is easy to share it out to the rest of the world. If you came to church being unhappy, you won't be happy here. But if you came to church having peace from your own house, you will find peace in the church. Looking at the immediacy that Jesus responds after hearing that Simon's mother-in-law is sick, that makes us to think that maybe this woman was a very responsible woman in her house, and maybe she was transferring her goodness to the community. So her sickness is not only affecting her own house, but also the community. I want us to look at the word Capernaum. The word Capernaum comes from a Hebrew word far, meaning a village. And another word, Nakam, which means unknown man's name. Who does this word Capernaum mean in Greek? It means consolation or comfort. So Capernaum was a village of shelter, of comfort, a place where there was compassion. Capernaum was located 14 feet above sea level, while Nazareth was like 700 feet. We know that Jesus was born in Nazareth, but he visits Capernaum after being in the wilderness for 40 days, where he is tried by the devil. Looking at the location where Capernaum is, Capernaum was very well located because it was along Via Maris, that is near the route to Egypt and Damascus. Capernaum was known for tourism, and therefore, this town was a good place for traders and people passing to get rest. Probably this place had a lot of people from all different nations. And a place with many people or with people has different needs. Capernaum was one of them. It had people who were sick and people who were demon-possessed. Jesus, being aware of the situation in Capernaum, he is touched, and that is the reason why he's interested in healing the people and also casting out demons. Being the Son of God, he's aware of the problems that humans go through, and he can be able to identify with mankind problems. That means he was emotionally connected with them. It is at this place, Capernaum, where Jesus makes and meets the disciples. So a lot of things is happening at Capernaum. Basically, it is a place where his ministry is beginning, because when he gets disciples, he will end up sending them out to the other places to continue preaching the gospel. After visiting Simon's mother, who is in bed and has a fever, Jesus touches her, and she gets up and starts serving. The healing impacts the body system, and Jesus' power goes through her weak body, and she is able to stand and start serving the guests. The word serve in Greek is diakonē, from diakoneo, which we get the word deacon, meaning to serve. Simon's mother-in-law starts doing what Jesus is doing. She serves the needy. And for this case, we have Jesus and the 4 disciples visiting. And she becomes a disciple, a partner with them. Spiritual healing entails the willingness to serve. On the other hand, spiritual weakness, sickness, is concerned about only self. Simon's mother-in-law is not concerned about herself, but others. It is my prayer that the Lord makes us well to be able to serve. Once the Lord takes us by our hands, we'll be able to raise up and start serving others in the name of Jesus. We hear that Simon's mother-in-law had fever. Today, fever may not be a serious matter to us because the world has progressed in terms of science and medicines are available. The experts, that was doctors, nurses, and even education, has played a bigger role in curbing it. But in those days, it was a serious matter. Many people died as a result of fever. Coming to our days, we had COVID, and COVID traumatized many of us. And remembering what COVID made us go through, we can see how it was in those days, without medicine, without protection, without immunization, without boosters. It wasn't easy. But Jesus, the great healer, identifies with the people's needs and heals them. I wonder what Jesus Christ is doing on a Sabbath day. According to Jews' law, they were not supposed to work on a Sabbath. But Jesus is working. He cast out demons in the synagogue. And after the service, he does not stop. He visits a sick woman and heals her. Later during the day, many people bring their sick ones for healing. According to the Jews' custom, they could not do any type of job before the day ended. And this is the reason why they are not bringing their sick people earlier during the day to Jesus. They are waiting till evening. They are obeying their customs. But Jesus does contrary to their customs. Yes, these people are interested with the healing, but they don't want to admit that they need salvation. This makes me to ask us, what do we need? Do we need salvation or do we need only healing? People are healed because of their faith, and some are healed because of other people's faith. At this place, we see some people passing their sick people down from the roof so that they may be healed. This is not something issue, but it takes faith for such people to be able to do that. The cloud of people is very huge. We hear that the doorway has been blocked. So many people are coming today to receive the healing. But after the healing, we don't see them like changing their life. This is so dehumanizing that even after receiving a lot from our master, they don't want to surrender their life. A challenge to us. What are we doing after being healed? The Lord has done so much unto us, and each and every one of us can be able to testify of the goodness of the Lord in our life. You being seated there, I know it has taken the Lord of the Lord. If you look back to your family life, you have so many reasons to give thanks unto God. He has moved you from one level to another. He has done things. He had removed barriers that you thought maybe they could not be removed. Jesus' healing is for everyone. All people in the town were brought to Jesus to be healed. and they all gathered at the entry. These people have been very desperate. Their friends, their spouses had been sick. Their children were also sick and suffering. Some were almost at the point of their death. But Jesus comes with an answer. I just want you to imagine having parents who cannot be able to provide for their children. Children who cannot be able to pray with others or go to school. A lot of household chores need to be done, errands need to be done, but no one is doing. This was indeed a sick society. But Jesus demonstrates his authority over sickness and over human nature, and he heals the people. Being the Son of God, he had power over nature, and he uses his power to save mankind from suffering. He did all this to make mankind realize who he is, but it was not easy, because we find that even after doing too much or a lot at Capernaum, not everybody believed. And later, Jesus even cast the town of Capernaum. Jesus' healing is out of love. Some of the people had no connection with Jesus before this day. But Jesus connected with their emptiness caused by suffering because he was full of love. And just as a loving parent, he served them. The same Jesus cares for us today. And his purpose is to heal us. But once we are healed, we need to do like Simon's mother, get up and start serving others. Jesus did not seek recognition from anyone. His mission was to spread the gospel. Yes, he had power. He could do a lot. And this is the reason he's silencing the demons who are saying that he's the Holy One of God. Jesus was a humble servant. A servant is a person who does duties for the others. Servant leadership aims at the well-being or growth and empowering others. Jesus led by example. He acted as a loving parent to his children who were suffering. Humility is not a weakness, but an act of showing others that they are worthy, making them feel better. The master servant has empowered us to carry on the mission of serving others. We need to serve in humility and in love. As we serve Christ, we need to be dedicated to prayer. Jesus looked for an opportunity where he could be free from distraction to have some time with his Father. This was to help him gain more strength for the future ministry. Prayer is a weapon that conquers all barriers. Remember Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? They conquered all the trials because of their prayers. Martin Luther said, to be a Christian without prayer is more possible to be alive without breathing. And George Herbert also added, prayer is the key for the day and the lock for the night. So as believers, we need to keep on being prayerful. You are called for a time and season, and that is why you are existing. We hear of so many people who are suffering, wars in the world. It is our responsibility as Christians to take that mission and be prayer warriors. Prayer moves mountain. Nothing is too hard for Jehovah. And this is the discipline that Christians should highly value and practice. 1 Thessalonians 5:16 encourages us to pray without ceasing. Philippians 4:6 also challenges us that in everything but prayer and supplication, we let our needs be known to God. The Lord understands all that we are going through, and in due time, it shall become. As I come to the end of the sermon, Jesus, the master servant, who was so humble and loving, who became a role model to us by serving others, who used his divine nature to change human nature, is welcoming us to be partners in the work that he started. Christ brings healing to the sick world. He brings peace to the broken world. He brings love to those who are brokenhearted. And above all, he's inviting us again and again to be ministers with him. I would like to encourage us to keep learning the race. Hold on to the baton of faith. Serve the nation in the way the Lord leads you to. And never give up on prayer. Hallelujah.